Now, are they Hebrews? Part 4. 안녕하세요. 잘 지냈나요? 다시 babke doe 반갑습니다. Korean. Yes. Okay. Oh, first let me just start by saying there's like a massive thunderstorm outside. New York has like the craziest weather where it's freakishly hot one day, like 90 degrees, and then it can be freakishly rainy the next day. So if there's loudness in the back, it's just a thunderstorm. Don't worry. Anyway, so in the previous video of this series, we discussed some of the rules that Yahuwah made for his chosen people and the curses that will befall them if they don't follow these rules. Deuteronomy chapter 28 also contains a list of blessings that Yahuwah's chosen people will receive if they keep his commandments. But before we get into those, let's look at a few more rules that his chosen people can follow even in captivity. Like, there's no excuse for these, not really. Let's begin with the list of clean and unclean animals. Okay, so this list explains all the types of animals that Yahuwah's chosen people should and should not eat. Like what is acceptable as food and what is acceptable just not as food. It's unacceptable. Alright, Deuteronomy chapter 14, verses 3 to 6. Thou shalt not eat any abominable thing. These are the beasts which ye shall eat: the ox, the sheep, and the goat, the hart, and the roebuck, and the fallow deer, and the wild goat, and the pygarg, and the wild ox, and the chamois. And every beast that parteth the hoof, and cleaveth the cleft into 2 claws, and cheweth the cud among the beasts, that ye shall eat. All the animals listed are safe and clean for Yahuwah's chosen people. Okay, so there's a strange phrase here that needs some explaining. Definition time! To chew the cud. Phrase: when animals such as cows or sheep chew the cud, they slowly chew their partly digested food over and over again in their mouths before finally swallowing it. Example: the cattle also seem more contented and are chewing the cud longer because they have more fiber. Sounds kind of nasty, but only the animals like the ones previously mentioned, who have multiple stomachs, from one of which they can sort of throw up their food and rechew it at their leisure, are considered food for Yahuwah's chosen nation. Like I said, it sounds kind of gross, but it actually helps the animals get more nutrients from the food, and then when we eat the food, or when we eat the animals, we actually get all that nutrients that they were eating, which is good for us. See, Yahuwah knows what he's doing. Next, let's look at some unclean animals. Deuteronomy chapter 14, verses 7 to 8. Nevertheless, these ye shall not eat of them that chew the cud, or of them that divide the cloven hoof, as the camel, and the hare, and the coney, for they chew the cud, but divide not the hoof. Therefore they're unclean unto you. And the swine, because it divideth the hoof, yet cheweth not the cud, it is unclean unto you. You shall not eat of their flesh, nor touch their dead carcass. So, although these animals meet some of the requirements for clean animals, they do not meet all of them. So, they're still considered unclean. Pork is a major stumbling block for Yahuwah's chosen people. No matter how many diseases and illnesses they get, they still eat it. It's time to stop. Come on, bro. Just give it up. Next, marine creatures. Deuteronomy chapter 14, verses 9 to 10. These ye shall eat of them that are in the waters. All that have fins and scales shall you eat. And whatsoever hath not fins and scales, ye may not eat. It is unclean unto you. So Yahuwah's chosen people also seem to be very fond of shellfish, crab, lobster, shrimp. But these creatures have no fins or scales. They are unclean. They're also bottom feeders. Bruh, it's like eating garbage. You are literally eating something that eats garbage. But I won't get into it. I just won't. I'll literally start tangenting. I suspect that there's a lot more to this rule than we think, but it's also not just that they eat garbage, but there's more. If you're eating things from the water that you don't really, they don't have fins and scales, we'll get into this when we get more into dreams and spirits, but not everything is what we think it is, bruh. But we won't speak about it right now. I'll just say, as I said before, we don't know nearly as much as we think we do about the water and its inhabitants. And when we eat unlawful food, we have no idea what we could really be eating. Move on. Come on. Deuteronomy chapter 14, verses 11 to 19. Of all clean birds ye shall eat, but these are they which ye shall not eat: the eagle, the ossifrage, and the osprey, and the glede, and the kite, and the vulture after his kind, and every raven after his kind, and the owl, and the nighthawk, and the cuckoo, and the hawk after his kind, the little owl, and the great owl, and the swan, and the pelican, and the gier eagle, and the cormorant, and the stork, and the heron after her kind, and the lapwing, and the bat. And every creeping thing that flieth is unclean unto you. They shall not be eaten. The Bible doesn't actually give us a list of clean birds, but it does suggest that any bird other than those described are safe. No birds of prey, no night birds, and no waterfowl. Again, there's a reason for this that I think we're not really aware of. Ever heard of a Lilith? Anything you are unsure about, pray before eating it, and stay away from it in the meantime. Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 21. We shall not eat of anything that dieth of itself. Thou shalt give it unto the stranger that is in thy gates, that he may eat it, or thou mayest sell it unto an alien, for thou art a set apart people unto Yahuwah thy Elohah. Thou shalt not seethe the kid in his mother's milk. It is important to note how Yahuwah only expects these dietary rules to be followed by his chosen people. Not everyone is under these laws. Yahuwah's chosen people needed to follow these rules to be set apart and spiritually higher than others, because anything you take into your body has an effect on you. But it doesn't just affect physically, it can affect you spiritually, which is why we can't take in certain things. We don't take in certain things and we don't put out certain things, because everything has an effect, seen or unseen, or whether it's immediate or whether it happens far in the future. So, okay. And don't use that excuse from the book of Acts where it says not to call anything unclean, because the story was obviously referring to people. I mean, back in the day, Yahuwah might have considered some of these people unclean, or he might have had his people, his chosen people, Yashar'el, consider some of these people unclean. You weren't even supposed to eat with someone outside of the nation of Yashar'el because they were considered unclean. And because they were obviously eating things that he would have been like, no. And you could get all kinds of probably spiritual diseases from them. Or, like whatever spirits they carry. But we're not going to get into that. No. But we're not going to use that as an excuse. And we're not going to use the excuse that the law no longer needs to be followed, because even Paul, who mentions not following the laws, was preaching to the converted, not to the originally chosen nation. And he even says to the converted people, don't make yourself, or don't try to be making yourself under the laws that the chosen people are made under or have been put under, because it's a form of bondage that you weren't given. Why would you put yourself in a shackle that wasn't given to you? That's like asking for oppression, and we do see people always doing that, asking for the oppression of other people because they think it makes them like, I don't know. I'm not going to get into it, but we see that. But he was talking to converts. Paul did preach a little to Yashar'el, but they didn't want to hear him. The main people he talks to are converts, which is why all of his books are called after other nations. Galatians, Ephesians, even Romans. A Roman, I'm not sure, was an actual nation. I think it was a title. But even still, he's teaching this to other people outside of his own natural-born people. The natural-born people were always under the law. A covenant can't be occasional. It can't be for a set amount of time unless you set the amount of time. Yahuwah's covenant with his chosen nation was forever. Forever. Like even Yahusha says that the law will not pass away until everything is finished. That means until his Father comes, until he returns, Yahusha also, the law won't pass away. Matthew chapter 5, verses 17 to 18. Think not that I'm come to destroy the law or the prophets. I'm not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass away, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled. Okay, sorry. I just had to get that out my system. Small tangent. It's just I hear the excuse so much. I don't want to hear it. It clearly says the law exists. Like, all this is still happening. You can't use anything as an excuse. By doing that, you're putting your own thought or the thought you got from someone else above what the Mashiach said, above what Yahuwah said. And that's just unacceptable. Let's just not do unacceptable things. Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 23. I want to talk about this one. Only be sure that thou eat not the blood, for the blood is the life, and thou mayest not eat the life with the flesh. This is a very important point, since all over the world Yahuwah's chosen people are eating meat that is not fully cooked, not cooked at all, or being mixed with leftover blood to make sausage. This is unclean according to Yahuwah's law. Let's just not do that. Let's just not. Okay, outside of food, this is another small thing I want to discuss because there's a lot of issues with this. A lot of issues. Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 3. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, and his daughter thou shalt not take unto thy son. Now, I'm sure many, whether they're Yahuwah's chosen people or not, will have a problem with this rule, but it's unfortunate. While there are clearly exceptions to this rule, Yahuwah generally expects his chosen people to remain set apart, which is to be separate for both biological and spiritual reasons. You don't know the evil covenants people have in their bloodline, bruh. Don't just base it off of this person is nice, this person is cute. Base it off of the law and Yahuwah's rules. There's reasons for everything. Yahuwah doesn't just tell us stuff because he's bossy. He's not. He tells us these rules and gives us these rules and expects us to follow these rules because he knows they will benefit us and our children and our children's children. I mean, I like those type of benefits. For example, Noah was chosen because he was one of the last pure-blooded human beings in his time. Everyone else was mixing with the descendants of the fallen angels. Even after the descendants of the fallen angels destroyed themselves, do you think they didn't have offspring who were even a quarter or half fallen angel? I mean, this is still the tarnishing of something clean. They were also so heavily laden with sin that they would have brought all their evil into the new life, that's unacceptable. So it really does pay. Follow the law. He said, stay within your own group. Judah's first two sons were killed by Yahuwah, not only because they were wicked. Yes, they were wicked. But also because their mother was a Canaanite, and they were not supposed to marry Canaanites. She was insisting that they don't marry back into their own group, and you know what? It cost them their lives. His line was passed down primarily through the twins he had with his daughter-in-law Tamar, because she was of the line of Shem, which is what Yahuwah wanted. Also, Proverbs chapter 5 talks about why Yahuwah does not want his chosen people to marry outside of their nation. It seems obscure, but in actuality, no. That's what it's about. That is what it's about. Also, then there's Ezra chapter 10. It also confirms this. Let's look real quick. We'll get into this more later, but just real quick, I want to look at this because this is an issue. Ezra chapter 10, verse 2. And Shechaniah, the son of Jehiel, one of the sons of Elam, answered and said unto Ezra, we have trespassed against our Elohah, and have taken strange wives of the people of the land. Yet, now there is hope in Yasharal concerning this thing. It was considered a trespass. A trespass is something you're not supposed to do. It's against the rules to do this. It was just against the rules, for reasons which we'll probably get into later. But let's move on to our next rule. We've spoken about this in Dreams and Spirits, so let's take a quick look. Deuteronomy chapter 18, verses 10 and 11. There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that useth divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. So I've explained what all of these are. Just go back to the Dreams and Spirits series, and if you don't know which one to start at the first one. Okay, Yahuwah hates all of these things. He considers them abominations and witchcraft. These are pagan practices. More than pagan practices, they're literally giving homage and worship to devils. Devils, fallen angels, Nephilim spirits, all sorts of unclean things, hybrids, whatever. You are giving homage, you are giving sacrifice, you are giving time and energy and life force to something that Yahuwah never wanted or never intended that to be their purpose. They are unclean. Child sacrifice is not just burning children alive. Sorry that I even had to say that. It's the act of giving them over to any practice that does not come from Yahuwah. So, a bit controversial, but people gotta live and learn to take the truth. Transgenderism, celebrity. Being a celebrity is not something Yahuwah ever wanted. You're an idol. Since when does he want any human to be an idol? Promiscuity. Say less. I'll just say that. Young children love to say less, so I'll just say less. Ritual abuse. Fame, even. Child exploitation is a sacrifice. It's a different form of child sacrifice, but children generally don't need to be seen in the way people are showing them, especially now that YouTube is blowing up and you have these famous YouTube kids and social media kids. They're going to grow up one day and they might really regret this, having all of their personal information shared like that with people who they don't even know exist. They don't know any of these people. They don't know that this person is even alive. And yet now this person knows so much information about them. That's not cool. That's really not cool. Plus, you don't know what people think of your kids. You don't know what unclean spirits people can send to your kids. And yet people are just giving all of their information out. Moving on though. Witchcraft is not just spells, charms, and summoning demons, but also tarot cards, fortune telling, the use of crystals, palm reading, Wicca, any form of nature worship. Witchcraft. Even there can be witchcraft in music and people don't know, because a lot of times you don't know what all the sounds are in your music or in the background of your music. You can just be like, wow, this sounds great, and in the background someone is chanting a whole evil thing. I mean, let's just be honest. Again, none of these rules are very difficult to follow. Yahuwah expects very little from his chosen people. Literally, it's less sometimes than your parents even expect from you. But people just be like, nah, I'm cool. I don't want to do this. He says several times that he does not even require a sacrifice. What he wants is obedience. It should be very clear who Yahuwah's chosen people are by now. Since this is the Now Are They Hebrews series, it should be extraordinarily clear. These are a stiff-necked people. If they were the people living in Israel right now, wouldn't there be peace in the land? Because, bro, it's prophesied that when his people return, there will be peace, right? Wouldn't judgment on their enemies have begun? Wouldn't all the events in the book of Revelation have already began? Wouldn't we be like in the midst of this? We would have been in the middle of this for years now. In the next video of this series, we will see the blessings that Yahuwah will give to his chosen people when they return to his laws. When his real chosen people return to his laws, and not things that they added in or made up. Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 6. For thou art a set apart people unto Yahuwah thy Elohah, and Yahuwah thy Elohah hath chosen thee to be a special people unto him, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Psalm chapter 33 verse 12. Blessed is the nation whose Elohah is Yahuwah, and the people whom he hath chosen for his own inheritance. 1 Peter chapter 2 verse 9. For ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and set apart people, a peculiar people, that ye should show forth the praises of him who hath called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. John chapter 15 verse 16. Ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you and ordained you that you should go and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit should remain, that whatsoever ye shall ask of the Father in my name, he may give it to you. Colossians chapter 3 verse 12. But put on therefore, as the elect of Yahuwah, set apart and beloved, bowels of mercy, kindness, humbleness of mind, meekness, and long-suffering. Genesis chapter 12 verse 3. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse them that curse thee, and in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. That's how it should be. That's how it will be. But until next time, Hallelujah.